Is Damon Salvatore a rapist? The Vampire Diaries writers went out of their way to ensure that none of the vampires ever physically force someone to have intercourse with them or compel someone to have intercourse with them. With both Catherine and Damon, we see them compel their human partners not to engage in with them, but to just compel them to no longer be afraid of them and the fact they are a vampire. However, by compelling them to no longer be afraid of them, I feel like it takes away their partner's ability to give actual consent because a part of their choice is whether they would like to continue to have intercourse with a vampire. And I think that Damon and Catherine's relationship is a perfect example of the fact that humans can be aware that someone is a vampire and then continue to choose to have intercourse with them and also continue to be allowed to be fed from. And so the fact that they have to compel their partners into staying with them by compelling them to no longer be afraid does take away their ability to give their full and enthusiastic consent, and in my opinion, falls into the category of SA by lying. But I also feel like this creates a broader question between supernatural and human relationships. Because in that case, any supernatural creature who is lying about their human status when they're going to have intercourse would technically be SA by lying or SA by omission. I think a perfect example of this is Josh and Nora from Being Human. Nora gives her consent to have with Josh when they're in a relationship. And by doing this, she becomes pregnant. Now, Josh did not notice at this time, but werewolf children in utero also transform on the full moon. So they go throughout like the first month of pregnancy, and then Nora has a very violent and painful miscarriage because of the full moon. If she had known that Josh was a werewolf, she probably would have made different choices. In my opinion, when it comes to supernatural creatures, if there's an inherent risk to having intercourse with them that they do not disclose towards their partner, then they are committing SA by lying or omission. This way, I feel like the definition of who does and doesn't SA people is much broader than just Damon and Catherine in the concept of the Vampire Diaries. It applies to any vampire, any werewolf who is having intercourse with somebody without actually letting them know the full dangers of having intercourse with them.